we first need to talk about your warehouse layout. So you have your shelving, maybe you have an inbound dock and an outbound dock, a receiving station, a packaging station, and a workstation where you can manufacture items, make bundles, or whatever else. The first step is creating zones. Creating zones or areas helps organize your warehouse and increase picking efficiency. There are two clear zones in this model. We have the A zone and the B zone. Next, we define rows. Rows are intuitive because they follow the flow of your picking patterns. These are your locations. Let's take a closer look at row A02. In this example, we define locations based on bay or column and row. So there are 9 locations. This location is Zone A, aisle or row A02, bay 102, row B. But within each location, you can have sublocations. So within this location, you have sublocation 1, 2, 3, and so on all the way to 25. Whether a location or a sublocation, this is where you put your bins. We tend to think of bins as a physical box, but it makes more sense to think of bins as the empty space inside of the box. That is how the system views it. You fill the empty space with products. Then you give the bin a number or a tag. The system then stores all of that information. That's the SKU, the quantity, the expiration date, the lot number, the unit of measure, and the product volume. With that in mind, this bin location is Zone A, aisle A02, bay 102, row A, number 19. That is the full location name. When an order comes in, this is where your picker goes. Within this location, you have a physical bin where you store your products. There are 2 other kinds of bins. First, you have virtual bins. Virtual bins are for products, like books, that are already barcoded. The system counts each group of barcodes as a bin, but in reality, the books can be loose. This means that you can still track them without needing to actually put them in a box. Finally, you have movable bins. These bins are not fixed to a specific location, but instead are tied to a product. Here's how they work. Let's say you have a pallet come into your warehouse. You look inside and see that it is a large shipment of teddy bears. To turn this pallet into a movable bin, you scan the pallet into the system, print out a bin tag, and stick it to the pallet. Notice that the bin tag is just a number instead of a series of letters and numbers. This is because your movable bin is not tied to a specific location. So you've tagged your bin, and now you can put it away. All you need to do is scan the bin tag and the location, and now the system knows where your pallet of teddies is. Now, maybe you sell security equipment, and so you want to turn these bears into secret cameras. So you go pick up the pallet and take it to your workstation. Grab the pallet, scan the tag, scan the new location, and you're all set. Once you've worked on these bears, you can take them back to the same location, or you can move them somewhere else. It's the same process either way. Just scan, and put away. When orders come in, the system always knows where to send your team. To further explain, I want to give you an analogy. Imagine the city you live in, or the city you grew up in. Chances are there are different areas in your city. Maybe you have downtown, the business district, midtown, the dining district, and uptown, which is mainly housing. These are your zones. So if someone wants to grab a bite to eat, you tell them to head to midtown. You tell them there's a great burger joint. They look it up and find an address. The address has a street name, also known as a row. There is also a street number, and because most buildings contain multiple suites, or sublocations, you will probably have a suite number. The restaurant is your bin, and the burgers are the product or SKU. Now, you may cycle different products through your bin, but everything else stays the same. If a new restaurant moves into this building, nothing changes. The building is still at the same address, in the same area of town. What about virtual bins? Well, let's say there's a street vendor. The street vendor has a license to set up shop where he is. Even though his business is not enclosed in a bin, he still technically has an address or a location. Recently, we've seen a specific kind of restaurant pop up all over the place. The food truck. It doesn't matter if the food truck goes to a different address or a different part of town, the restaurant is tied to the truck. In warehousing, we call this a movable bin, which ShipEdge supports with bin tags. As you set up your warehouse, remember your city. This not only helps you understand ShipEdge, but it also helps you understand all that ShipEdge has to offer. Thank you.